Welcome to Energy Work and Healing. I'm Tricia George, an energy healer and intuitive guide, here to help you reconnect with your body, your energy, and your truth. This podcast is all about blending spiritual integrity with practicality, offering grounded insights, energy tools, and real conversations to support your healing journey. Whether you're just beginning or deep into your process, you are in the right place. Let's dive into this together. Hi, this is Tricia George from the Energy Work and Healing podcast, and today we're journeying even further up the chakra system, going into the seventh chakra, which is located at the crown of our head. So it's about right above our head, about an inch above, and then it goes about 7 inches higher. And this works with the element of thought. And the color for this chakra is sort of like, for me, it's like a golden violet flame. And it has 972 cones that are similar to a sort of fiber optics, if you would, rather than lots of cylindrical cones like we saw in the lower chakras. Here is where we tap into universal source energy. We also bring cosmic energy in through the back of the seventh chakra, right behind where it's located. And it's also where we connect to the divine, the supreme being, God, however you like to call it. But it really is connecting and harmonizing with all that is. We're actually plugging in the divine source energy with our spirit and our soul. And that creates a sort of wholeness within our space that is connecting our upper chakras through our central channel to our earthbound chakras, which were chakras 1 through 3. And what we allow to happen is when we allow this energy to pool up in our pelvic region. So what we're doing is we're drawing that earth energy up, like we talked about in the 10th chakra, or we will be talking about, and then we're mixing that and combining that in what's called our pelvic floor. The pelvic bowl is the term that I use, and then we're bringing cosmic and earth energies in that location of the pelvis, and then we're allowing that energy to come up through our central channel and then basically fountain out our crown chakra and out our arm channels. And that's allowing us to help ourselves clear sort of stuck energy, residue, things that we don't need anymore in our space that are just sort of congesting our energetic bodies. And when we allow this flow to occur, we allow our physical form, right? Because we're elements. We're physical and we're spiritual. So we're merging those two elements together through the crown chakra, which is our seventh. So if you think of this as an energetic merging, sort of like mixing, cream with coffee, it's very similar because as those two colors actually merge together, they create a third color. And that energy is an invitation for you to heal your space. And not only does it heal the space around you, which is your auric field, but it also helps you energize your chakra system. And it allows them to sort of have permission to start moving and clearing information because we're allowing that overflow of energy to clean out each chakra, filter through our system, and then clean out our auric field. What this does, it gives us a sense of wholeness, of completion in our lives so that we are almost trusting more deeply what is happening in and around us because we're connected to universal source energy as well as the earth. So when we think of the seventh chakra, it's very close to our mind. And if we begin to understand by this time that thought doesn't necessarily come from our mind, it can come from our stomach, which has its own mind, our heart, as well as our analyzer that's located in the brain. And when we allow our three minds to sort of interrelate with each other and communicate through our central channel, you start engaging with higher sense perceptions, and information will start to flow in and around you from every direction. So, what do I mean by that? It's like you're open to all that is, you're an open conduit of energy. So, information can enter your auric field. It can enter your physical senses, maybe your eyes, your ears, your throat. You might feel it in your chakras, but you're receiving information using all the conduits of energy in and around you. And this is a state of knowingness where we gather the information through our conscious awareness, right? Because we're living in our higher chakras and we're allowing ourselves to process the information about the world that's dwelling around us. So we're experiencing it as waves of energy, as frequencies, and we're letting it enter us. And we're also allowing it to exit. We are malleable, we are porous, and if we operate as an open channel, we're allowing this constant flux and influx of energy, not holding anything, not blocking anything. And we're allowing it to just permeate within our space, gather our information from that knowingness, and then process what we're thinking and feeling about that information. And what's so amazing about going into the higher chakras is that we can actually defy, in a sense, of time and space. Because if we realize that energy is unlimited and it doesn't take effort to move energy from, say, A to Z, it can happen in a heartbeat, in an instant, in a blinking of an eye. And if we allow ourselves to understand that and let the information just come and go, we can actually sort of defy the third dimensional reality that we're all dwelling in and connect to the fourth and fifth dimensions, gathering information from everywhere. And you'll start to trust your intuition and you'll be able to learn your subtle senses. And that's your clairvoyance, your clairaudience, claircognizance, clairsentience. There's lots of clairs, but you're allowing your subtle senses to dictate what you find is true in your seventh chakra due to your knowingness. Because for most people that know the seven chakra system, this would be the highest energy center, right, in the human body. And even though it sits outside of the human body, just like our lower chakras do, that we haven't really discussed yet, there's a linking of all the chakras together through that central channel. And we can think of it in the sense that not only do we link to ourselves, but we actually link to the consciousness of all that is. And who encompasses that consciousness? It's everybody, every living being on this planet. And I don't know if you've heard of this sort of phenomena called the 100 monkey effect, where one monkey has an experience and the experience triggers the other monkeys within a certain family group and beyond that family group actually to experience the same information from that single monkey. So they learn through the collective consciousness of monkey information, just the same as we can do with our human self, as long as we're tapped in and sort of plugged in to the collective consciousness of all that is. So we're letting this sort of critical mass that sits in and around us, because there's so many people on the planet right now, and we're connecting to all of that in order to try to adopt new perspectives. Say you're trying to learn about awareness and consciousness. You can tap into that information through the seventh chakra so it can assist you in the present moment by learning in a sort of ripple effect how other people have dealt with the information that we're actually seeking. So we're open, we're giving ourselves enough of an opening or permission to have and saying, I want to learn about conscious awareness. So immediately, the universe is going to start bringing that to you. It's going to say, okay, we're feeling this frequency of Tricia, let's just say, and we're going to allow her to receive the information that she's requesting through her knowingness, through her wisdom, through the information, so that she can grow and evolve to match the energy of other individuals that are also presently working with conscious awareness. And it doesn't have to be necessarily present moment, but it could have been, something that happened down the ages where you resonate with a specific person. Like Einstein was in conscious awareness. He was aware of things around him. Leonardo da Vinci is another human being that was in his awareness. So you're giving permission, you're opening your channels to receive information and knowledge so that you can thrive. And you're then allowing yourself to have the experience firsthand as what we're talking about now is conscious awareness. How does that feel? Because when we realize that we're dwelling within a shared, unified experience, and we're all interconnected in this web, you can consider it the ley lines of the universe that goes beyond the earth. We can feel and sort of touch with our etheric fingers information that can help us in our present moments. And we can also realize that not only are we receiving information from others, but we're also conduits to give information. So this balance of giving and receiving through these ley lines creates a spiritual framework between each and every one of us, in, around, beyond. And that's where we want to sort of try to keep our crown high. This is your crown, and you deserve to wear your crown. And when you wear your crown, you're sort of taking ownership of who you are. You're no longer making excuses for yourself. You're connected. You're asking questions. You're seeking information, and you're trying to process. Now, the seventh chakra, just like the lower chakras, can fall into what I've been calling surplus and shortage, where the chakra is in excess or it's in deficiency. And when the seventh chakra is in excess, right? So that means it's over 8 inches in diameter, and they may feel that they're disconnected from Earth because they're feeding so much cosmic information into their space. They're losing their ground. Their roots have sort of come out of the earth and are dangling there. So this can make somebody go into avoidance or just wanting to jump out of reality altogether. And this imbalance, not only does it affect the seventh, but it affects our first chakra, right? Which is our survival, and our 10th. So if we feel that we're ungrounded, what are we going to sense within the physical form? What's going to be our sort of telltale signs? And that can be dizziness, lack of balance, lack of stability. We could start having autoimmune disorders. Vertigo is a great example of having an imbalance in the seventh chakra from surplus, and we need to realize that when it's open, there's just too much coming in. We become distracted and we lose our sense of direction or our sense of purpose. We could even forget sort of what we were doing and be like, wait, what just happened there for a minute? And where are we supposed to be? And what time was I supposed to be there? Because we're not fully in our body. We forgot to regain and restructure our connection with the earth. We really, in order to be a grounded, strong, and powerful human being, we need not only our cosmic energy, but we also need the earth energy. Because when we start fraying our connection with the earth, we become a lot more fragile because we're not present. We're sort of floating in the abyss of nothingness. So we really have to start practicing grounding again. A lot of people that I know tend to like to work in their higher chakras, but not really connect to the earth. And if we're trying to balance our system, just as we balance masculine, feminine energy, black and white, yes and no, the dualities of life, we want to constantly have that connection and balance between our earth energy and our cosmic's energy. So we're not drifting through our days in a sort of zombie like way. We want to regulate and learn how to self regulate our energy bodies so we're not in overwhelm, we're not in stress or uncertainty. And we're giving permission for things to just move, even though we don't have control over them. We're giving ourselves the space to say, hey, I don't know what's going on right now, but I'm going to trust with my seventh chakra and know that whatever is coming into my life, I will be supported and I will be guided. And I don't need to jump into my future or jump into my past because I know immediately jumping either way is going to actually deregulate me and it's going to throw me off my center. So we want to stay in our center, self-regulating, connected to all that is, as well as earth energy. So anytime we're feeling anxiety, many people might feel like something bad's going to happen in the future, right? They're actually calling that into themselves because of the detachment that they have from their central channel. And this can be very painful for people experiencing an unsettled energy because the first and the seventh chakras are sort of sending mixed signals through the channels, right? It's just constantly going back and forth. And then they're trying to cope, but as that gets faster and faster and the energy becomes more anxious, they might start like wanting to be like, I need to get out of here. And that might be where they start using addictions, drugs or alcohol to sort of try to satiate, to calm this central channel rather than going to meditation or to grounding, because it's almost easier to have avoidance of something than do the work on a spiritual level. The spiritual level is not always the easiest because you're always going inward to the self. Everything's happening in and around you. But how do you let it affect you? Where do you need to strengthen yourself? Where do you need to protect your space, maybe? Where do you need to know what can be tweaked in your space? What needs adjusting? Just like a dimmer switch, what can you either increase or decrease so there's a calmness that's running through your central channel and allowing you to come back to that homeostasis, that calm energy? Because the disconnect is so uncomfortable. And the disconnect can happen in both ways. So it can also happen in a sort of shortage where we're not using enough of our cosmic energy in our space. And we're sort of keeping ourselves in an unconscious manner, but in a different way. We're not in excess, right? We're in shortage. So here we might be sort of dealing with different voices in our heads. We might find it hard to understand or appreciate like new information or ideas because we can't obtain the concept. We can't grasp the concept of something else, something different. So we may isolate more, just like we repress our communication when we go into shortage with the fifth chakra. The same thing is true in the seventh chakra, where we begin to show itself or show ourselves in shortage because we don't know what to do. We don't know where to go or how even to take our first step. So this has an issue with action. And when we're inactive, we're sort of suffering because we don't know how to break free from our old limiting beliefs, strongholds, or patterns. We can be feeling lost, struggling with sort of feeling unworthy, and sort of telling ourselves through the multiple minds in our head that we cannot receive, that we cannot have. And this will reduce the chakra closer to the actual skull of our head. And it changes in a sense that it's like deflating, where we don't have faith. We're not trusting in universal source energy. We're not trusting in our own knowingness or our own intuition. We're in deficiency here. So it disconnects us from the cosmic energy and the universal source energy, the supreme being or the divine, whatever you want to call it. But it's just as painful as being as in it is in surplus. Both aspects give you a sense of despair and not knowing how to get out of a particular situation. And this energy center is sort of deep seated in mistrust. So this might be a certain individual, let's just say, that has a hard time trusting others and approaches relationships, maybe with their partners with skepticism, jealousy, believing that that other person's always hiding something or that they have ulterior motives. But in essence, they don't trust their own information because they're in disharmony in their seventh chakra. It's not about that other person. It's about what they're thinking and feeling in their own space. So it creates a horrible cycle, that doesn't stop, where an individual enters relationships in a very toxic way because they're already thinking or knowing that something's going to happen. They've convinced themselves of that. So how can you change that mind? That person, the other person in the relationship, will never be able to change that individual's mind. Only the person that's actually thinking the first initial thought. So we want to understand that whether it's diminished or in excess, neither of them is for our highest good when it comes to the seventh. And especially as we get into these more subtle chakras, you have to pay attention a little bit more because you're not always getting a physical ailment or a physical response. So for a jealous person, for example, they might have a heart wall in their front chakra or their back chakra of the heart, but they can't feel it in the seventh, that their seventh's off, because it's really outside of ourselves, right? It's like air. It's like the ether. So it's not as tangible. It's very subtle energy fields because you're working with your higher sense perceptions, your clairs. Where the heart chakra, when it has a heart wall, you can actually feel that heart wall from another individual. So we want to have awareness of where it sits in the body, use that like a roadmap in order to figure out what you need to work on. And I would say if you're having jealousy in the heart chakra, you're for sure dealing with a low vibration in your seventh chakra, the crown, because you're either mistrusting or you're way too open, one or the other. So we want to understand that we're looking always, when it comes to the energy body, a sense of unity, a sense of balance, a connection with ourselves so that we can connect with others through that open channel, through that conduit, so we can actually have our vitality and we allow and permit for ourselves to grow spiritually, but as well as other people. We're not having any attachments, expectations, or judgments on other individuals. Now, when we move into these higher chakras, so I'm talking the seventh, eighth, ninth, the 12th chakras, it's really challenging to start detecting what imbalances are happening in which chakra because they're so subtle. And until you start really familiarizing yourself with the chakra system, it's going to be very challenging to sort of sense which of the higher chakras is off. So, like I just described, you're going to try to go into your physical body chakras and see what is happening there first, and then move up to the higher chakra to assist you with the connection or the correction to your thoughts, feelings, strongholds, and limiting beliefs. So if we take that other example again with the jealousy in the heart chakra, and there's a heart wall, say on the right side between 1 and 3, we can then take that information with us, move up to the 7th, and then ask the question, am I jealous in my 7th chakra? Do I trust my information? Do I trust this other individual? And just see what you get. Are you going to get a yes or a no? And you're going to start listening to your higher self's answers, because you innately know everything that's happening in and around you. It's resonating and permeating through you on a day-to-day basis as we're intertwining with other people's information and other narratives. But get to know your voice, because when you are fully aligned in your 7th chakra, you are going to experience a clarity, a presence, and a sort of like divine warmth that sort of envelops you, because you're allowing yourself to be present the moment, here and now, allowing vibrations to come in and out through your daily interactions, as well as your decision making, because you're trusting your own guidance. You're trusting your own information. And when we're in this state, we're attuned to our wisdom as well as the wisdom above and beyond us, right? And this allows us to navigate our journey in a more healthy, confident, and graceful manner, rather than doing it with deficiencies and shortages, or surpluses or excesses. We want to allow our 7th to explore a sense of fulfillment, joy, life purpose, knowing and trusting that we're on our path moving forward. We want to plug in to our energy from the 7th chakra as we live in this present moment, allowing our mind, our heart, and our solar plexus all to work together in cohesiveness. Because then you're working with all your minds together. And when you encapsulate that with all the information that's flowing in and around you, you are so supported. It's as if the divine is holding you, supporting you in grace. I thank you for listening to this podcast about the 7th chakra. Try to wear your crown every morning when you go up out of bed. Envision your crown. Envision placing it on your head as you stand up to start your day. And no one deserves to ever have your crown. Do not give that up. That is yours to have. It's your divine connection to source. In the next episode, we'll be working with the 8th chakra that entails the Book of Life, the Akashic Records, and so much more. So I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you for listening. And if this episode resonated with you, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Have a good day. Thank you for joining me on Energy Work and Healing. If today's episode resonated with you, be sure to subscribe, share it with someone who might need it, and leave a review. Remember, your energy matters, and your healing helps heal the world. Here, we honor the path of blending spiritual integrity with practicality so you can walk empowered, aware, and aligned. Until next time,
Stay grounded, stay open, and keep listening to the wisdom found within.